Have you ever stopped to truly listen to the way you talk to yourself? Not the quick passing thoughts, but the deep, running dialogue that shapes your decisions, fuels your fears, and either lifts you up or tears you down? The truth is, the way you speak to yourself every day holds the power to change your life. Imagine waking up tomorrow and for just 3 days, flipping that internal script. Imagine speaking to yourself with the unwavering encouragement of a coach, the understanding of a friend, and the bold confidence of a winner. Today, I'm going to show you how to talk to yourself in a way that can transform your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your future. Have you ever truly listened to how you talk to yourself in moments of struggle? It's easy to dismiss the constant chatter in our minds as inconsequential, but that voice, the one no one else hears, wields extraordinary power. It's a voice that can either propel you forward or anchor you in place. Most people aren't aware of just how critical this inner dialogue is. They go about their days unaware that the way they speak to themselves influences every choice they make, every risk they avoid, and every opportunity they either seize or let slip away. When something goes wrong, a missed deadline, a failed test, a rejection, what do you tell yourself? If you're like most people, the answer isn't pretty. You might hear a harsh voice in your head calling you not good enough, lazy, or a failure. These words cut deep, often leaving scars you may not even realize are there. They create a narrative of inadequacy, shaping how you see yourself and your capabilities. The dangerous thing about this is that when you hear these phrases repeatedly, they don't just stay thoughts, they become beliefs. But here's the thing, those beliefs aren't the truth. They're distortions created by your own mind, often rooted in fear or past experiences. The good news is, just as these patterns were created, they can be rewritten. The way to start rewriting them is to become intentional about how you talk to yourself. Instead of letting your inner voice criticize, doubt, and tear down, you can train it to support, encourage, and uplift. Imagine this, you're at the gym, lifting weights heavier than you've ever tried before. Halfway through, your muscles start to burn, and the thought creeps in, I can't do this, this is too hard. What happens next? Most people would put the weight down and walk away, convinced they weren't strong enough. But what if instead your inner voice chimed in and said, you've got this, you're stronger than you think, just one more rep. That simple shift in language can make all the difference. Suddenly you're pushing through, completing the set, and walking away feeling victorious instead of defeated. This isn't just a motivational gimmick, it's a psychological truth. The words you use influence your emotions, and your emotions drive your actions. When you speak to yourself in a way that empowers you, you set off a chain reaction. Empowered thoughts lead to confident feelings, which lead to bold actions. Changing the way you talk to yourself starts with awareness. For the next 3 days, I challenge you to pay attention to your inner dialogue. When you catch yourself being critical, pause and ask, is this how I would talk to someone I care about? Think of how you'd comfort a friend who's struggling. Would you tell them they're hopeless, that they'll never succeed? Of course not. You'd encourage them, remind them of their strengths, and help them see the bigger picture. Why should it be any different when you're talking to yourself? The shift from self-criticism to self-compassion isn't always easy. At first, it might even feel unnatural. That's because for years, you've likely conditioned yourself to expect perfection and to punish yourself when you fall short. But perfection is an illusion, and punishing yourself for not reaching it only deepens the cycle of negativity. Instead, give yourself permission to be human. Talk to yourself as though you were mentoring the person you're becoming, not berating the person you've been. One powerful technique for reframing self-talk is to challenge the story you're telling yourself. For example, let's say you're preparing for an important interview and the thought arises, I'm terrible at interviews. I always mess up. Stop and examine the statement. Is it factually true? Or is it a story you've constructed based on a handful of experiences? Perhaps there was a time when you stumbled through an interview, but does that mean you're doomed to fail every time? Of course not. Replace that thought with something grounded in possibility. I've learned from past interviews, and I'm ready to show up as my best self this time. Another way to reframe negative self-talk is to focus on what you can control. Often when we feel powerless, our inner dialogue becomes a reflection of that helplessness. For instance, after failing an exam, you might think, I'm not smart enough. I'll never pass. But if you shift the focus to what's within your power, the narrative changes. I didn't pass this time, but I can study differently and improve. This approach not only shifts your mindset, but also opens the door to actionable steps. Affirmations are another tool to transform your inner dialogue. At first, they might feel like empty words, but their power lies in repetition. The more you repeat positive affirmations, the more your brain starts to accept them as truth. Start with simple, believable phrases like I am capable of figuring things out, or every day, I'm getting better. Over time, as you internalize these statements, they become the foundation of a new, empowering narrative. One of the most impactful things you can do is to speak to yourself in the present tense, as though the version of you that you aspire to be already exists. Instead of saying, I hope I can be confident someday, tell yourself, I am confident and capable right now. This subtle shift creates a sense of immediacy, tricking your brain into acting as though the change has already happened. It's also important to surround your self-talk with patience. Change doesn't happen overnight, and there will be days when you fall back into old patterns. When that happens, resist the urge to criticize yourself for slipping up. Instead, acknowledge the slip and gently guide yourself back on track. Progress isn't linear, and every step forward, no matter how small, is a victory worth celebrating. Your self-talk isn't just about responding to challenges, it's also about how you celebrate successes. Too often, people downplay their achievements, brushing them off as luck or coincidence. But when you diminish your wins, you rob yourself of the confidence they can build. So when you achieve something, no matter how minor it seems, take a moment to acknowledge it. Say to yourself, I worked hard for this and I'm proud of what I accomplished. As you practice reframing your inner dialogue, you'll start to notice something incredible. The more you speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement, the more resilient you become. Challenges that once felt insurmountable will begin to feel manageable. Setbacks will no longer define you, they'll simply become opportunities to grow. The beauty of self-talk is that it's always within your control. You might not be able to dictate every circumstance in your life, but you can always choose how you respond to them in your mind. That choice, repeated over time, creates a ripple effect that touches every aspect of your life. When you talk to yourself as though you're capable, worthy, and unstoppable, you start to act that way. And when you act that way, the world responds in kind. Consistency is the secret ingredient that separates those who dream of success from those who achieve it. Yet, for many, the idea of being consistent feels overwhelming, like an unattainable standard of perfection that looms over every action. The truth, however, is that consistency isn't about doing everything perfectly, it's about showing up, no matter how small the step. It's about proving to yourself, day after day, that you are capable of progress. And the best way to build consistency is through small wins. When people set out to change their lives, they often aim for massive transformations. They vow to wake up at 5 a.m., overhaul their diet, start working out 6 days a week, or launch a business overnight. These ambitious goals are inspiring, but they're also unsustainable when approached all at once. The human brain is wired to resist drastic changes because they require an enormous amount of willpower. When the initial burst of motivation fades, the overwhelm sets in, and most people give up, not because they aren't capable, but because they try to do too much too fast. This is where the power of small wins comes into play. Small wins are achievable, manageable actions that build momentum over time. They might seem insignificant in isolation, but their impact compounds as they accumulate. Imagine trying to fill a jar with drops of water. At first, it seems like nothing is happening, but as you keep adding drops, the jar eventually fills and the result is undeniable. That's what small wins do for your confidence and your progress. For the next 3 days, focus on identifying small, meaningful actions you can take to align with your goals. These actions don't need to be monumental, they just need to be consistent. If your goal is to improve your physical health, don't pressure yourself to run a marathon right away. Start with a 10-minute walk or a few minutes of stretching. If your goal is to grow your knowledge, commit to reading just 1 page of a book or watching a short, educational video. These small efforts are easy to accomplish, and they create a sense of achievement that propels you forward. The beauty of small wins is that they leverage a psychological principle known as the progress loop. Every time you achieve a small win, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical responsible for feelings of reward and motivation. This dopamine hit reinforces the behavior, making you want to repeat it. Over time, these repeated actions become habits, and habits are the building blocks of consistency. The more you succeed, even in tiny ways, the more confident you become in your ability to succeed again. Let's consider the idea of starting a new fitness routine. Many people dive in with an all-or-nothing mindset, deciding to commit to an intense regimen that feels impossible to sustain. Instead of doing this, imagine setting a goal to do just 5 push-ups every day for 3 days. That's it, just 5 push-ups. This goal is so small that it feels almost too easy, which is exactly the point. The simplicity of the task removes any excuse not to do it. And once you've completed those 5 push-ups, you might find yourself doing a few more because you're already in motion. By the end of 3 days, not only have you built momentum, but you've also proven to yourself that you can follow through on a commitment. Small wins are powerful because they meet you where you are. They don't require you to be perfect or to radically change your life overnight. They simply ask you to take one step, and then another, and another. Each step builds on the last, creating a steady rhythm of progress that feels natural and sustainable. This approach removes the pressure of perfection and replaces it with the confidence that comes from consistent action. As you start to accumulate small wins, it's important to celebrate them. Too often people dismiss their progress because it doesn't seem big enough. They focus on what they haven't achieved instead of acknowledging what they have. But every win, no matter how small, is worth celebrating because it represents a step forward. When you take a moment to acknowledge your efforts, you reinforce the behavior and give yourself the motivation to keep going. Let's say your goal is to build a morning routine that sets a positive tone for your day. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire morning all at once, start with one small action, like drinking a glass of water as soon as you wake up. This action takes less than a minute, but it's a win that sets the tone for the rest of your day. Over time, you can add more elements to your routine, like journaling, stretching, or meditating. Each small addition becomes part of a larger habit, and before you know it, you've built a morning routine that feels effortless and empowering. Another example of the power of small wins can be seen in personal growth. If your goal is to become more confident, start by identifying one small, manageable action that challenges your comfort zone. This might be making eye contact with a stranger, speaking up in a meeting, or complimenting someone. These actions might feel uncomfortable at first, but they're small enough that they don't overwhelm you. With each small win, your confidence grows, and you begin to see yourself as someone who is capable of stepping outside their comfort zone. The consistency that small wins create doesn't just help you achieve your goals, it also changes how you see yourself. Each time you follow through on a small action, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. If you complete a 5-minute workout, you're proving to yourself that you're someone who prioritizes their health. If you spend 10 minutes writing, you're proving to yourself that you're someone who values creativity. These small actions might not seem like much in the moment, but over time, they shape your identity. There's a phrase that says, how you do anything is how you do everything. When you commit to showing up consistently, even in small ways, you train yourself to approach life with discipline and intention. This mindset carries over into everything you do, from how you tackle challenges to how you build relationships and pursue your passions. Small wins also have a ripple effect. When you achieve one win, it creates momentum that carries over into other areas of your life. For example, if you start your day with a small win like making your bed, you're more likely to approach the rest of your day with a sense of accomplishment. That one action sets the tone for a day filled with intentional choices. It's important to remember that small wins aren't about taking the easy way out, they're about creating a foundation for long-term success. They're about recognizing that big goals are achieved through consistent effort, not through sudden bursts of motivation. By focusing on small wins, you're building a system that supports sustainable growth. This approach also teaches you to be patient with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight, and progress often feels slow in the beginning. But when you focus on small wins, you're reminded that every step forward is a step in the right direction. Over time, those small steps add up to significant change, and you realize that consistency was the key all along. Success begins in the mind, and one of the most powerful tools you have to achieve it is your ability to visualize. Visualization isn't about dreaming idly or wishing for something to happen. It's an intentional practice of seeing your goals and achievements in vivid detail before they happen. It's the ability to create a mental picture of where you want to go, who you want to be, and what you want to accomplish, and then using that picture as a guide for your actions. When you visualize success consistently, you aren't just imagining a better future, you're training your mind and body to move toward it. Close your eyes and picture yourself achieving your biggest goal. Imagine what it feels like to succeed. See yourself crossing the finish line, shaking hands at a new job, or holding the degree you worked so hard to earn. Picture the details, the sounds, the colors, the emotions swelling inside you. That image in your mind isn't just a fleeting thought, it's a blueprint. It tells your brain what's possible and sets the wheels in motion to make it a reality. Visualization works because the brain doesn't distinguish much between real experiences and vividly imagined ones. When you mentally rehearse success, you activate the same neural pathways as you would if you were actually experiencing it. This creates a sense of familiarity and confidence that makes the goal feel achievable. The more you practice visualizing your success, the more natural it becomes to take the steps needed to bring it to life. I think about it like this: when you're driving somewhere unfamiliar, you use a map or GPS to guide you. Without it, you might feel lost or hesitant, unsure of which direction to take. Visualization acts as your internal map. It gives you clarity, helping you see the path ahead even when obstacles arise. Instead of wandering aimlessly, you move with purpose, knowing exactly where you're headed. When you begin to visualize your goals, it's important to be specific. Generalized images like being successful or being happy are inspiring, but they lack the detail that your mind needs to connect with. Instead, focus on painting a complete picture. If your goal is to run a marathon, don't just see yourself crossing the finish line. Picture the entire journey, lacing up your running shoes, the sound of your feet hitting the pavement during training, the cheers of the crowd as you approach the end. Feel the pride in your chest and the sweat on your skin. The more vivid your visualization, the more real it becomes. Visualization isn't just about the end result, it's also about the process. Many people make the mistake of only imagining the finish line, skipping over the hard work it takes to get there. But success is built on the journey, not just the destination. When you visualize, see yourself taking consistent, meaningful steps toward your goal. Imagine waking up early to work on your craft, overcoming challenges with determination, and celebrating small milestones along the way. This trains your brain to associate effort with success, making it easier to stay motivated and focused. To make visualization a consistent habit, set aside time each day to practice it. It doesn't need to take long, just 5 to 10 minutes of focused mental rehearsal can make a significant difference. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, close your eyes, and immerse yourself in the vision of your success. Engage all your senses to make the experience as realistic as possible. What do you see, hear, and feel in this future you're creating? As you practice visualization, pair it with affirmations that reinforce your belief in your ability to achieve your goals. These affirmations act as a bridge between your current reality and the future you're working toward. For example, if you're visualizing yourself giving a confident presentation, repeat affirmations like "I speak with clarity and confidence," or "I am prepared and capable of delivering an impactful message." These statements not only boost your self-esteem, but also help solidify the connection between your visualization and your actions. It's important to acknowledge that visualization alone isn't enough. It's a tool to guide and inspire you, but it must be paired with consistent effort and action. Imagine an artist visualizing a masterpiece but never picking up a paintbrush. The vision remains just at a vision. To turn it into reality, the artist must take action, using the mental image as a guide for every stroke of the brush. Visualization and effort work hand in hand, one fuels the other. Another powerful aspect of visualization is its ability to help you navigate challenges. Success is rarely a straight path, and setbacks are inevitable. But when you visualize the process, including overcoming obstacles, you're better equipped to handle them when they arise. Picture yourself facing difficulties with resilience and creativity. See yourself finding solutions, learning from mistakes, and growing stronger with each challenge. This mental preparation reduces the fear of failure and builds your confidence in your ability to adapt and persevere. Visualization also helps you develop a success-oriented mindset. When you consistently see yourself achieving your goals, you begin to identify as someone who is capable of success. This shift in identity is powerful because it influences how you approach opportunities and challenges. Instead of doubting yourself or hesitating, you act with the belief that you are the kind of person who can achieve great things. Your visualization practice can also serve as a source of motivation on days when progress feels slow or setbacks test your resolve. During those moments, revisit the image of your success. Remind yourself of why you started and what you're working toward. That mental picture can reignite your passion and remind you that every step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Visualization is not limited to personal goals. It can also strengthen your relationships and interactions with others. Before an important conversation, imagine yourself speaking with clarity and empathy. Picture the other person responding positively and the two of you finding common ground. This mental rehearsal prepares you to approach the situation with confidence and understanding, increasing the likelihood of a successful outcome. It's also worth noting that visualization isn't about avoiding reality or pretending everything will always go perfectly. It's about focusing on possibilities and training your mind to look for solutions instead of dwelling on problems. When you visualize success, You're not ignoring the challenges, you're choosing to see beyond them. This perspective helps you stay optimistic and resourceful, even in the face of adversity. As you make visualization a daily practice, you'll start to notice its effects extending beyond your immediate goals. It sharpens your focus, enhances your creativity, and strengthens your ability to stay calm under pressure. These benefits ripple out into all areas of your life, creating a sense of alignment and purpose that fuels your growth. Visualization is a skill that anyone can develop, regardless of where they're starting from. It doesn't require special talents or resources, only a willingness to dream and the discipline to practice. Over time, as you continue to create and refine the mental image of your success, you'll find yourself naturally moving toward it. Your actions will align with your vision, and the gap between where you are and where you want to be will begin to close. The power of decision-making is one of the most transformative abilities we possess. Every choice, no matter how small, shapes the course of our lives. From the food we eat to the people we surround ourselves with, every decision we make carries the potential to influence our future in profound ways. Yet, for many, decision-making feels like a daunting process filled with fear, hesitation, and self-doubt. The truth is, mastering the art of making confident, intentional decisions can unlock doors to opportunities, growth, and success that once seemed out of reach. At its core, decision-making is about taking control of your life. It's about stepping into the driver's seat and choosing a path rather than allowing external circumstances to dictate your direction. When you take ownership of your choices, you reclaim your power. You become the architect of your future rather than a passive participant in it. But this level of intentionality doesn't happen by chance. It requires practice, self-awareness, and the willingness to embrace uncertainty. One of the biggest obstacles to confident decision-making is fear. Fear of failure, of judgment, fear of making the wrong choice. These emotions can be paralyzing, causing you to stay stuck in indecision. But what's often overlooked is that not making a decision is, in itself, a decision. Choosing to remain in limbo is a choice to stay in your comfort zone, to avoid risk, and to miss out on the opportunities that come with taking action. To overcome this fear, it's essential to reframe how you view failure. Instead of seeing it as a definitive end or a reflection of your worth, view it as feedback, a natural and valuable part of growth. Every decision, whether it leads to success or a setback, teaches you something important about yourself and the world around you. This shift in perspective allows you to approach decision-making with curiosity and resilience rather than fear and avoidance. Another common barrier to effective decision-making is overthinking. It's easy to get caught in a cycle of analysis paralysis where you weigh every possible outcome, consider every what-if, and struggle to commit to a course of action. While careful consideration is important, excessive overthinking can drain your energy and prevent you from moving forward. The key is to strike a balance between thoughtful deliberation and decisive action. One way to break free from overthinking is to focus on your core values and priorities. When you're clear on what matters most to you, decision-making becomes simpler. You can evaluate your options based on whether they align with your values and contribute to your long-term goals. This clarity serves as a compass, guiding you toward choices that are in harmony with who you are and what you want to achieve. Another strategy to simplify decision-making is to trust your intuition. Intuition is often misunderstood as a mystical or irrational force, but in reality, it's a powerful form of subconscious reasoning. It's the result of your brain processing patterns, experiences, and information in ways that may not be immediately obvious. When you've done the work of reflecting on your goals, values, and experiences, your intuition becomes a reliable guide. Listening to it can help you make decisions more quickly and with greater confidence. It's also important to recognize that not all decisions carry equal weight. Some choices, like selecting a career path or deciding to move to a new city, have significant long-term implications. Others, like what to have for lunch or which route to take to work, are less consequential. Learning to differentiate between high-stakes and low-stakes decisions allows you to allocate your mental energy more effectively. Save your deep deliberation for the choices that truly matter and give yourself permission to make quick, instinctive decisions for the smaller ones. As you practice making decisions, remember that perfection is not the goal. It's unrealistic to expect every choice to lead to the ideal outcome. What matters most is that you're taking action, learning from the process, and adjusting as needed. Even if a decision doesn't turn out the way you hoped, it's not the end of the story. You always have the power to make new choices, to pivot, and to chart a new course. One of the most powerful habits you can develop to enhance your decision-making is self-reflection. After making a choice, take the time to evaluate the outcome and consider what you've learned. What went well? What could have been done differently? How did this decision align with your values and goals? This process of reflection not only helps you improve your decision-making skills, but also builds your confidence in your ability to navigate future challenges. In addition to self-reflection, surrounding yourself with supportive and insightful people can also enhance your decision-making. Seek out mentors, friends, or colleagues who can offer valuable perspectives and constructive feedback. While it's important to make your own choices, having a trusted network to consult with can provide clarity and help you see possibilities you might have overlooked. Just be mindful to use their input as guidance rather than a substitute for your own judgment. Another important aspect of decision-making is learning to manage uncertainty. No matter how much you plan or prepare, the future is inherently unpredictable. Embracing this uncertainty can be liberating. It frees you from the pressure of needing to have all the answers and allows you to focus on making the best choice you can with the information you have. Trusting that you'll be able to handle whatever comes next is a powerful mindset that can transform the way you approach decisions. When faced with difficult decisions, it's helpful to consider the potential long-term impact rather than getting caught up in immediate emotions. Ask yourself, will this decision matter a year from now? 5 years from now? This perspective can help you differentiate between short-term discomfort and meaningful long-term growth. Often the most rewarding decisions require stepping out of your comfort zone and taking risks, even when it feels uncomfortable in the moment. It's also worth acknowledging that sometimes the hardest part of decision-making is letting go of options that no longer serve you. People often hold on to outdated goals, unfulfilling relationships, or limiting beliefs out of a sense of obligation or fear of change. But every time you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. Choosing to let go of what's no longer aligned with your values creates space for new opportunities and possibilities to emerge. One way to build your decision-making confidence is to start small. Practice making quick, low-stakes choices in your daily life, such as deciding what to wear or what to cook for dinner. These small wins reinforce your ability to make decisions and prepare you for tackling bigger ones. Over time, as you build this muscle, you'll find that making decisions becomes less intimidating and more empowering. As you navigate the decision-making process, it's also important to be kind to yourself. Self-criticism and doubt can erode your confidence and make it harder to move forward. Instead, approach each choice with compassion and understanding. Remind yourself that every decision, whether successful or not, is an opportunity to learn and grow. When you look at the most successful people in any field, you'll notice a common thread. They are decisive. They don't wait for perfect conditions or absolute certainty to act. Instead, they make informed choices, take calculated risks, and adapt along the way. This doesn't mean they don't experience fear or doubt. It means they've learned to act despite those feelings. By embracing a similar mindset, you can unlock your own potential and move closer to the life you envision. Ultimately, decision-making is a skill that improves with practice. The more choices you make, the more confident and capable you become. Each decision, no matter how small, is a step toward building the life you want. It's not about avoiding mistakes or finding the perfect path. It's about taking action, learning, and continuing to move forward. The more you trust yourself to make decisions, the more empowered you'll feel to create a future that aligns with your dreams and aspirations.